Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire. All right, welcome to another in our Railway Empire's Fundamentals series. We're going to talk about competitors today. We're going to talk about how to deal with them in the early game, how to use them to your advantage, and how to take them out. And when you do take them out and buy them, what do you do with them? Do you keep their tracks or do you cash them in? Show you the mechanics and how that works in the game and what the trade-offs are. And also I'm going to throw in as a bonus some comments on the 1890 West map scenario. Several of you have asked me to play that one because I think people are really struggling with it. And it has to do with your competitors there. And unfortunately, I'll just tell you, I can't play it. My game crashes literally every time I try after a few minutes. I've even tried, I really want to do it for you guys. I really want to do it myself because it's the only scenario I don't have a president score on. And I wanted to kind of finish the book of work because to me, there's two graduate tests in this game, in the scenarios. That hunger for raw materials on the East Coast map, the last one on the East Coast, you got to know all there is to know really basically about playing this game or have a pretty good understanding in order to get through that one effectively. And then I think this 1890s West Coast is meant to be the same thing. And I'll get into it in a little bit why I think it's hard and why people are struggling with it. And I apologize, I just can't literally show you an example. What I'm going to do to show you all about competitors is use that one. If you'll recall, we did the fundamentals on rapid expansion and a pass-through warehouse. And that's sort of kind of become my baseline strategy, really. I mean, if I continue playing this game, I will definitely be looking at that as how do I apply that in these scenarios because it just flat out works. And that's key number one to beating your competitors. Play well. I know that sounds stupid, but that is the single most important thing, is play well, grow your company faster than they can grow, and that way you can kick some competitor butt. Now, when you start the game, and by the way, I would encourage any of you who have not seen it to kind of stop here, pause, go back and watch that fundamentals video on rapid expansion and pass-through warehouse. It's when it's finished, it'll look just like this one because that's what we're doing. We're taking up from where I finished that other video, and we built a great little money-making machine here. And what I wanted to show you in this one as far as relative to competitors, when the game first started, you'll see it better if you go back and watch that video, but when we moved up, we started down here with a meat in Kansas City, connected beer in Des Moines, and we immediately put a second station here to keep our competitor, who's right up here, their headquarters are in Rochester, from coming down this way, because this is going to be a good one. Now, this way, we make the money on that line, not him. So that's the first thing you do, is think about ways you want to get stations in as many cities as you can, that's within reason, and stays within the context of trying to hit your objectives, and you want to bump your competitors out of as many cities as you can. Now, that's number one. Now, number two is, what do you do to buy them out? Well, first of all, it goes right back to what I said before. Play well. If you play well, you got lots of money. See, we've got $1 million in cash. Let's just see how we're doing. And let's see how our competitors are doing. We're already at 10 million. Our competitors combined don't add up to more than 2, 4, 6 million roughly of company value. It means we can target them and take them out. So first of all, let's just take one out right away and talk about how you would do it. Let us say that you were at that point in the game where you think it's a strategically wise move to take out a competitor. Now, the first thing you want to do is think about, well, which one do I want to take out? Now, we've got 3 guys running here. They're all doing okay, but they're not doing great. We've got the yellow dude, who's that? That's old Roger. Roger's down here in the south, and he's doing all right. I mean, he's got some nice stuff going on. And then we've got And all the time I'm not playing, I'm probably losing ground on these guys, so I better not talk too much. So we've got, but let's look at it this way. From a strategic point of view, for me to expand, I'd love to get rid of this guy. This is, who is this dude? Our orange dude is, are you going to tell me who he is? Here we go. The doc. So let's go take out the doc. What do we need to take out doc? We first check and see what's it cost to buy us in one big gulp. 3.4 million. Okay, we've got $1 million. Then we want to check to see what can we raise in terms of bonds. We could do $1 million here. That would put us at 2.4. That's not enough, but we have the ability to pay off that bond. So now we can raise one. Come here. We can raise one for 974. We can raise another one for $1 million. Now we're at almost 3 million. And we've got a money-making engine that grows faster than him. So what we're going to do to take out Doc is we're going to set this on 100%, and we are just going to run on fast forward until we have enough to buy him in one fell swoop. Now, why one fell swoop? Because if you keep spending your money investing in other people's companies and you're not growing your company, their companies are continuing to grow. So the bar keeps getting raised higher. So if you go down and try to piecemeal these guys, oh, I got a little money, I can buy 5%. Don't even bother. Wait until you've got some serious funds. So we're going to just let this run. We need about 3.5 million. And we're just going to watch to where his value is less than our cash, and Doc is going to disappear. And I'm going to hold off for just 1 second, slow it down. I'm going to go out and do one other thing you should do. Look at the map, and before you buy him, you have to decide, do I want to liquidate him or do I want to keep his stuff? And Doc is, I've forgotten which one he is. Orange. Okay, he's the orange dude. So let's look at the orange dude. That's yellow, green. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. You're going to have to forgive me. I had a little oral surgery today, and I've run some good pain medicine, so I'm enjoying this video. I don't know if you're enjoying it, but I sure am. So we're going to take out Doc because he's right here next to us. I already knew that. Sorry. Okay, so let's go back to go back and check him out, and here we go. Set him to 100. We're almost there. You see, we're growing faster than he is. That's the key. And I could have waited a little bit more and not had these bonds hit me, but I just wanted to get an idea of what we had, what we were up against. And we're not growing our business, so of course we're not growing as fast as we could be. Plus I did all that yammering and let the clock run for a while. See, he's really growing now. He's giving us a hard time. In fact, he's growing almost as fast as we are, but not quite. Now we own Doc. So now the question becomes, okay, and we really didn't have to stop and go back and look. What we want to do now is think about, all right, do we liquidate him or do we keep his tracks? So if we kept him, we would already have our station in Rochester. It's probably got maintenance on it, so that would be great. We want to run to Madison. That would be great. We'd like to run to Chicago. That would be great. He's even got, does it go down here to, yeah, he goes to, oh, shoot. Let's just keep his tracks and build off of his tracks. Okay, they're not a big mishmash mess. They're basically running to some cities. He's got some wood coming in and what have you. But we would pick up, I think we're going to keep him. We'll keep his tracks. So we'll go down here and we'll say, okay, Doc, we're going to merge with you. And now this is why we check to see what we want to do. This is the other thing you need to understand. When you merge with another company, all his trains get removed, the locomotives get sold for money, his employees become on our they come out to our employment agency and apply for jobs. So we get a whole bunch of nice employees, which boosts our economy even more. And then, if we want to, we can get rid of his tracks and stations and make 600,000. But I believe in this case, his stuff out there, if you will, is actually more valuable than the 600,000. We'd have to rebuild them, blah blah blah. So we're going. And this is a little weird how this logic goes. If you hit this, you're going to liquidate him. If you hit this, you're still merging. You're still eliminating him, but you are keeping his stuff. So I'm going to hit that one. Now, if we look out here, we've gotten rid of Doc, and I've kind of got the sound on these competitors turned off so you don't hear him whining. But if you'll notice now, we own all these connections here. And now the bad news is, of course, competitors are running on easy mode with their trains. And I've seen a lot of people complain about that. It doesn't bother me a bit. I mean, how would you like to try to build logic into a computer system that took that it would allow these guys to run proper double track trains? It would just be we'd be waiting 10 more years for this game to come out. So we can go in. First thing we can do is we've got all this stuff. Let's make money on it. So wait a minute. Let's just see where we want to go. We've got meat and meat, and we've got beer right here. I don't think we're so concerned about Rochester, but I would like to do, what would be a good one? This would be meat. Here, this would be a great one for beer. In fact, Rochester can be awesome. Rochester can become the new Des Moines, because now that we have this one, we've got meat, and beer. We can line up Rochester as a central point and make sure we feed it wheat. Thank you, Metric, for that point. And then we'll have 3 great lines, and then we can rock and roll and go buy our next opponent, right? So what do we want to do here? He's turned this way. I think in his case, I would rather, come here. I'll expand this station and see how, the nice thing too, he's already said all these computer opponents set their maintenance. So we're picking up stations, we've already got the maintenance set, which saves us a bunch of money right there. We got a little bit of bridge work to do there. And let's see, that looks pretty good. So we'll run over here, put a small station in Rock Island, just keep, whoops, Columbia is not, okay. Now that's okay. That's a great point. When you buy these guys, you've got to think about connecting them up somehow. They can't just sit out there in isolation. So what we want to do here, this is going to be an easy one. We're going to build it, and this is great. We want to do this anyway. We're going to put another station. It's going to force us to use this station. All right, be that way. We'll just use that line we just ran. Okay. We're going to go over here and connect up with meat. And we will expand this station and connect up our line like so. So now we're feeding meat into Columbia, which we'd want to do anyway. It has a meat industry, or feeding cattle, excuse me. Okay. All right, we're going to run our cattle line in. Come on. Come on. There. Whew. All right. We'll run the cattle line in. Boy, I have seen better jobs here. What a weird line that is. Okay. All right, so now we're going to run a line in like so, set up our tower, put some trains on it, run them full, of course, or just keep clicking that button, run them full. And what locomotives are we playing with here? John Bulls. Okay. Then we're going to check our timing. 28 days should be pretty good. We'll use our 1 and 1 to grow on technique and run 2 trains into Columbia. All right, now that we've set up Columbia, that's going to give us the ability to use the rest of these stations, because Columbia was, our stuff we bought from Doc had been disjointed. I mean, a cheap way we could have run a line from here to there, and it would have considered us hooked up. But we wanted to have this running anyway, so why not do it? So now we can set up our station in Rock Island and start the process of setting up our beer meat over here. And I don't want to get too far into this, because I just want to give you an idea of what, the trade-offs that you're making when you, and I'm going to have to expand this one again. I would have preferred to put the small station on the other side and then use that line here. Now, you have to ask ourselves, would we like to grow Rock Island and Des Moines with a 2-city pass-through warehouse? They wouldn't be the worst thing, but I think for now, I'm going to try to keep this short. I mean, we could keep going with this forever. There's so many things we could do. It's one of the great things about the game. There's just so many different things you can do if you're into it and you want to. All right, so let's run our double track. I think I'll just stop right there. As far as we'll run our double track. And get a line going there, and we'll throw the wheat in just because I can't not do it, and then we will move on to buying another competitor. Oh, and I forgot completely that we just got all this beautiful employees, and I've lost some messing around here. So let's find a good line that we like. Nice big profitable line. Let's grab, whoops. And let's start putting some employees on it. And oh, I totally hate this system. Now the nice thing, when you get a bunch of them, you can just find you an engineer that you like. There we go, that's a great one. Okay, go to the next train. I gotta slow this down. Engineer. Stoker. That's enough. Next train, give them a stoker. Now the best thing usually when you buy a competitor, he always seems to have, seems to have 1 or 2 of these guys. Precise routes cut down our price, or surveyor cuts down the cost of our lane. That's one of the best benefits of buying a competitor, is getting those office personnel, because they're sometimes kind of hard to get. And where was I? Oh, look how our money has just jumped up just in the time we took to do that. Suddenly we're flush with cash. So we'll set up a line and run 4 trains here, I think. and these two cities will start to grow and make more and more money for us. You know, it just keeps, you know, the rich get richer. That's the way it works. All right, so here to here. Here to here, as in Rock Island to Columbia. Now we'll clone those two. And that's a good long line, and we're just going to do it again. Why not? All right, and Rock Island is growing. Good deal. It should go great here in just a minute. And now we're going to, we even get a connection bonus. How good is that? We're going to put a station here and run wheat to Rock Island. And we're coming from this side, so we'll want to expand this station we just built. And we're going to want to give it maintenance since we're now kind of flush with cash and have the opportunity to do so. So now let's run a wheat line. Like so. So now while I'm finishing this up, just a few more comments on what we're doing. This video is about buying, you know, how to deal with our competitors. I just want to make sure I don't leave myself, you know. So I wanted to show you kind of what do you have to do, what's that decision you have to make if you decide to keep the competitor's track. You can also look, by the way, one great one to look for is tunnels. If they built some expensive tunnels in places where you'd like to have a nice short route, then by all means don't liquidate them. Keep those tunnels because those things are great. You know, if they've already paid the money for it, you can get the second side of the tunnel if you're double tracking for a really reasonable cost. And now you've got yourself a beautiful line going through the mountains that you didn't have to pay for, basically. All right, so we're going to run a line here. This is going to be a freight line, so we'll run full. And we'll put our train on it, and we'll put a security guard because he will get paid every time when he shows up down there. And we'll check out our timing 24, so we'll give it 1 to grow on. And now we've got a nice deal going. We'll make a lot of money right there with just that little bit of effort. Now, it depends on where we were in a scenario or in a mission, we would look at continuing to grow this, because right now we're not making any money off any of this stuff because we don't have any trains running. And we could just, I mean, as a bare minimum, we could run one train. You know, we could run one train from Rochester to Madison or whatever, and it wouldn't kill us at all. That'd be a fine thing to do, and then come back later and double track and make it all, you know, start using our expansion and our pass-through warehouses and what have you to grow it. But let's get back on focus, back to competitors. Let's look at another competitor. Now we want to look at the lowest hanging fruit, Roger. He's not going to, oh, my goodness, Roger, come on, you can do better than that. All right, 2 million. We need 2 million to buy out Roger. So let's just say it's a good time in the scheme of things to buy him out. So let's just throw it on fast forward till we get 2 million. And we can look at this. We can pay off this bond. And I think we're going to pay off this one for sure. So we're going to, and remember our rule about banking. If what you're trying to do costs you more than the cost of the bonds, then pay off the bond and open bigger bonds. If you can spend less on the investment without closing the bonds, most of the time you probably want to go that route. Just depends also on how close you are to closing them out. If they're close, and if in doubt, repay the bond. Because now, see, we can open up a $1 million bond. But what we're really going to do to make sure we can buy out Roger, I think it was Roger, So see, our bond value is going up because our company value is going up, but we're actually going to pay off both bonds and make sure we have tons of cash when we're ready to do this. I'm kind of forgetting I'm actually, in theory, playing a game here as well. But you can see we're raking in, we're making very good money, and it's still basically our original engine. The only thing we really picked up when we bought our first competitor was this line right here, which is a fine line. It's making, see, these guys are making great money because we've got the beer meat going both directions, and we've got the little wheat line here that should be doing just fine. Yep, it's doing just great. And our little beer line, our cattle line right here should be doing, yep, just doing just great. So we've picked up a lot of money. And imagine if we'd just gone ahead and just done those simple little changes for the rest of these. Because, you know, what you want to do is go Rock Island to Chicago, Rock Island to Madison, Rock Island to Rochester, because then you can have some minimal investment, really, really good lines. But we're not worried about that right now. Again, this is more of the theoretical. We're talking about getting rid of. Who are we going to get rid of? I think the next guy to fall, is he our yellow dude? Is Roger yellow? I think he is. Oh, well, we'll get rid of Jonathan next because he's cheaper. And what we're going to do, now it'd be tempting to just buy him right there, but, oops, sorry. We're going to leverage our money, get more money. So let's look at paying off our bond. Now we can open a $1.2 million bond and a another 1.2, a little bigger bond. Now we got 2.5 million. He's going to cost us 5, no problem. He's going to cost us 2. We can already buy him. He's gone. And for him, remember, let's see, where is he? He's the green. Let's just take a look and see what the green guy gives us. I'm inclined to just liquidate because I want to show you how that works. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we would have a connection to Toledo. I mean, we'd have good stuff. There'd be nothing wrong with taking him. But I think what we'll do in this case, just to walk through it, is we're going to, I think we bought him out, didn't we? Yes. So now we are going to merge. And now, instead of taking his stations and track, we're going to liquidate it. We'll get 600 grand for that. So if you'll notice, we just bought the guy out, but we still have another 1.5 million. So we're in great shape to buy our next victim. So if that was, you know, the end of the thing, maybe we would build up. Let's look at what's going on here. We're making $1.5 million a quarter in profit. So we're growing at that at that rate. Roger is going to cost us $6 million. And and again, we've got these employees. So whether you liquidate or not, you still get all those employees. So let's just throw them on our new line here. So we'll take an engineer. Then we'll take a stoker. And we'll take a conductor. And we'll take a different security guard. So there's one super train. And we'll grab some more people. Engineer. Didn't like that stoker. Let's grab a different one. Didn't like that conductor. That's kind of even trade kind of deal there. Took him off another line. All right, so now we've got an engineer. Stoker. Oh, sorry. Engineer, stoker, conductor, and this guy's not very popular. And I want you to look at something when I finally get through with all this. I call this the dance of the employees, and it really is a bit of a pain. Now, this guy can certainly get along with himself, I would hope. All right, now, here we go. Here's the other beauty. We pick up a chief engineer, which gives us 15% increased research. And we have another surveyor that gets us 16% off tunnels. I'd much rather have 13, whoops, where is it? Here. I'd much rather have 6% off my routes because I avoid tunnels whenever possible. So, hired, we don't want that person. So there, we've done our dance of the employees. And let me go do some, keep up with the research. All right, and now let's look at buying. Because now, what are we going to need? We're going to need about $6 million. He actually hadn't grown much in all this time. We've raised $2 million in cash, just like boom, boom, boom. So let's pay off. We're going to pay off both our bonds. What are we up to? About 1.3, so 4, 2. We can get about $3 million. So really, to buy him out effectively, what we'd want to do at this point is let's increase our profit even more. Let's grow things at an even faster pace. So let's find some sweetheart line like Rock Island to Columbia that we just set up and throw a pass-through warehouse in there. Or we could continue to grow these lines out by, going into rapid expansion mode again and kind of setting up lines. I kind of like that idea. Where's our other beer? We got beer out here in Grand Rapids that is wide open for us. Let's just take a moment, and I may fast forward through this because we want, this is covering other things. But I'm going to take a moment and build a line out here. Grand Rapids to Toledo. Now, again, keep in mind, if we were playing an actual scenario, where we had objectives and blah, 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 we would look at, our actions would be governed to a great extent by what our priorities were in terms of objectives and what have you, right? Okay, we all agree on that. Now we've got 8 trains running back and forth. Chicago will continue to grow. It's actually already a big city, and shoot, let's give it a warehouse or a museum. Why not? And now Grand Rapids is all set to take off too, because it's going to get stuff from Chicago where they're going to help each other grow. Life is good. Now, in that time, we've actually managed to spend all that money and still accumulate $1 million. So now our quarterly revenue should be increased even more. Let's see if Roger has grown faster than we have. No, see, he hasn't. He hasn't kept pace. But he's still expensive, $7 million. Maybe he has grown a little bit. I take that back, Roger. No offense meant. All right. So let's go see, how big are we now? Now we can get a 1.673. We could bet about 3 or 4 million in bonds. So I think the first thing for us to do is pay off our open bond. And remember, once again, I have to say, if this was a real scenario you were playing, you'd obviously be, every action would be driven by your objectives, but here our next objective is buy out our final competitor. That's all that's standing between us and victory, if you will. So 1.5, so we could raise about a little over 3 million with bonds. Roger's going to cost us about 7, so we need about 4 in cash. So let's just run it for a little bit on fast forward and see how fast we can make 4 million in cash. Chief engineer, 13% innovation, 17 innovation. No, I don't think we want to downgrade. Do we have a problem here? We do. Our surveyor and our accountant don't get along well. Yeah, let's say goodbye to her for a while. We're not buying new trains right now. Oh, we got a goof up? We do. I forgot to put in my interim signals on my on our city-to-city line. Let's see if that fixed it. Yeah, that's better. We don't need conductors on that line. It's freight. Okay, let's see how we're doing. He's growing, 8.5 million. But we're growing faster. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we need at least another million before we start messing with him. And again, we could keep growing. We could keep doing bonus industry. Okay, we might want to take a look at that. What do we got here? We got meat, beer. We got cotton down here, so textiles in Rock Island would be an excellent thing. And it's going to add to our company value, which will increase the size of the bond that we're able to take out. So if we're going to do that, then we want to make sure it's going to be a profitable business, and we want to run cotton into it. And this, by the way, this is good because this is showing the other, kind of, if you will, the other way to grow these cities. And hopefully I can expand this station again. Yep. Because the two best ways, I think, to grow the cities particularly early is to do the pass-through like we did here. The pass-through is great. It's the best. And your second best is to look at the industries in the city and just make sure you're pumping in whatever that industry needs, and you can get good growth with that. And if you can typically, as a rule, if you can do whatever the cities need plus one other thing to kind of push them over the edge, they tend to grow and you get good growth. Now, if you're focusing on growth and you have to have that growth, you absolutely want to do the pass-through warehouse or some sort of method. Doesn't have to be a warehouse at all, but some method for feeding a lot of goods into those cities, a lot of raw materials and manufactured goods so that they can really grow. But it's just sort of this will grow organically and we don't have to watch it a whole lot. All we have to do is set up something where we are pumping in the raw materials that are needed by that city's manufacturers. And in this case, it's our manufacturer, so we're certainly going to pump it up. Okay, there. Now we'll make good money on that cotton line, and we'll make good money on our weaver. And since we've got that, it would be, then what you'd really want to do if you were a good player doing the right thing, you would, of course, build up. You would go ahead and make sure that I can take that textiles, pump them over here, sell them somewhere, make more money. Now we're up to 3 million. We're looking pretty good here. What do we need? We need 9. All right, Roger. Okay, that's 5. That's 7. So that's close enough. We're going to piecemeal him slightly. We're going to go out and grab as much of him as we can. %, and then we'll just simply see what's it take. We need 2 million to buy the rest, and that won't take us very long to accumulate. I love those security guards on these city-to-city pass-through warehouse lines, or on a direct line like a direct. Like our cotton. I could have put them on the cotton line we just set up. That would have been a good place for them. Or even better would be a shorter line like the cattle lines down here, because you get more bang for your buck that way. Okay, we're almost done with Roger. And once we finish this one, we'll liquidate Roger, and then I do want to make a few comments about that 1890 West Coast. Sorry to, I've kind of teased, I'm doing it like the news, they tell you a big event coming, and then they never seem to get around to it. Those of you who are waiting to hear about the West Coast thing, sorry for making you watch this whole thing. Hope it hadn't been too bad for you. So we are going to merge with him. We're going to liquidate him. Now we've got a ton of money. We've got the ability to go back out here and probably pay off our bonds very, very quickly. And then we'll be debt free. We'll have wiped out the competition. And we didn't even keep playing, if you will. I mean, look at all the things we could have been doing in the meantime, but we were kind of focusing on the mechanics of buying out the competition. So hopefully that helped you understand how you manage getting the competition, how you use your bond market to issue bonds to get the money you need, how you, the basic principle of that, and we even got into setting up a pass-through warehouse. Look at our growth here. We've got, we probably want to do something about that industry in one way or another, maybe buy it and change it or whatever. But we've got Grand Rapids growing. We've got Chicago consuming stuff for us. They could have a better mix of industries too, by the way. And we've got Rock Island growing nicely and making real good money for us with our Weaver. So life is good. Anyway, let me talk about that 1890 West Coast. And I'm sorry I can't play it. I'm sorry for my own benefit. I really like to play the silly thing. And I'm sorry for those of you who are struggling with it. But here's the thing. If you notice on that scenario, it's really not that hard. I mean, if you understand what we're doing here and you understand the mechanics of how to play this game and how to build rapidly and how to build profitable lines and all that good stuff and grow cities, what have you, that most of the things in that scenario are not that horrible. What is tough is that your competitors start out more than 3 times your size. So the reason I wanted to talk about that 1890s in this video about competitors, think about what we had to do to buy out our competitors. We had to grow faster than they did, and we had to make our value more than their value so that we could issue bonds, get enough money that we could afford to buy them out. Well, the challenge with that 1890s one is you got three competitors who are way bigger than you are at the start. And they will get aggressive and they will buy your company if they see that you're kind of weak pickings. So when they can grow their company and get enough cash that they can afford it, they will invest in your company. And if they if they can't, then you're safe, right? They're not going to buy any of your stock, but you have to build your company rapidly so that you can start, getting them out of the way, buying them, or just avoiding being bought by being so big that they can't afford you. So what you need to do here, again, I would, if I was going to play the silly thing, I would go San Francisco to Redding, which used to be Shasta, beer meat line. I would then expand out toward, and I think you have to go down south, as I recall, down, I forget what city exactly it is, but you need to work your way down the coast of California and hook up down there, and then you need to work your way up to the north to, I think it's Portland. I apologize, I'm not sure. But anyway, you have to have that long line and those connections there, and that's fine. But basically, you just play the game, but you got to play it really well. I know I'm sorry, I can't be more help than that, but just play it well and get smart, follow that beer meat principle, grow your cities, build these beautiful lines that make, like, look at this. Where is our beautiful line? Here, look at this. You got 8 trains that are making just under $3,000 a week, bouncing back and forth between Des Moines and Kansas City, where we started with that pass-through warehouse. And we could even go out, if you wanted to really supercharge this, we could start building some more passenger lines, like, get these cities that are growing and build passenger lines parallel to our freight lines and just start raking in cash that way as well. But the whole point is, if you're struggling with that 1891, I just keep going through the fundamentals videos till you've got them down, and keep practicing how to grow quickly, and keep practicing how to build your lines so that you're growing cities and creating these extremely profitable lines. 8 trains at $3,000 a week. What's that? 24,000 a week. That's a lot of money, right? You can live on that. We could go up here and do one up here. We could grow these 2 cities like crazy, Fargo and Duluth, whatever. And on that back to that West Coast map, you can grow that LA to Redding, huge, fairly easily. You can pick others to grow to create these really profitable lines. But the whole point of it, and I know I'm going to apologize for the 14th time, I can't really tell you the specifics because I can't play it, but I know because of the size of those competitors and what they're doing to you and what everybody says, oh, he just keeps buying me. Well, get too big. Make yourself too big for him to buy you. And just keep growing your company. If you see him buying, and any time in any of these, if you see the competitor buying you, it means you're kind of weak. Honestly, that's what it means. It means you're not quite keeping up, and they are growing faster than you are, and they can afford to invest in you. You need to make it so they cannot afford you, that you are too expensive, that your share prices are just bigger than they can bite off. And again, the whole key of that is just play the game well. All right, I hope that helped you. If it ever comes to pass, they put out a patch that fixes it or whatever, and I can play that scenario, I will play it and show you an example. I feel, maybe it's tougher than I even think it is. Maybe I can't do it. I don't know. You can't really claim you can do it until you do. But I feel like it's just a matter of playing it well. So now back to this. Remember, competitors, mess them up with the double stations wherever you can early. When it's time to target one, grow, and again, it's the same story. Play really well and grow really fast so that you're just outstripping them in terms of your growth. Get nice and big. Use your bond market. Get your cash. Buy them. Decide if you want to keep them, like we did with this guy here, or if you want to liquidate them. By the way, generally I will liquidate. Again, look for tunnels and things that your competitor might have built that you can use. If you don't see any of that stuff, buy competitor. Just liquidate and take the cash and then use that cash to buy the next one. Easy process, easy peasy. Hope you've enjoyed this, and hope it'll help you deal with these AI competitors who on some of the maps can be quite tough. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.